Hey guys, welcome everyone. Welcome guys. This is what we're going to be painting today. I'm going to give everyone a couple more minutes and then we're going to start. In the meantime, just make sure you have your supplies ready and I will go through the list of supplies in a couple minutes too. And actually, let me see what I can do as far as my light. Maybe I can get a better lighting going on. Give me a second. I don't know if that's better. Probably not. Okay, let's go back. All right, we'll stick with this one. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, we'll wait just 2 more minutes to make sure we're not missing anyone, that we have everyone who was hoping to join today, and then we're gonna start. All right, 1 more minute, guys. 1 more minute. Okay, guys, hopefully we have everyone here. Thank you for saying hi in chat and saying where you're from. It's really cool to see so many of us from totally different places. Pretty awesome. All right, this is what we're going to be painting today. It is a really nice painting. And it's not crazy complicated, which is a great thing. It has its own challenges, but it's not overall, it's not too complicated, which is a good thing. But of course, it does have its challenging parts. Now, what we're going to need is we're going to need a canvas. I'm using 16 by 12 inch canvas. So it's the same as that one. And we're gonna need a pencil. If you have one, that would be great. If you don't have one, that's okay. It's not a big deal. We can still do this without pencil. It's just instead of pencil, you're gonna be using your small brush and some sort of light paint, maybe light yellow or light gray or light blue, something very, very light. But of course, if you do have pencil, that would be a little more ideal. And we're gonna need water. Can do this without water. And we will need paper towel or reusable fabric cloth, whatever you guys have. Here's my paper towel right here. Let's put it here for now. And of course, we're gonna need brushes and paint. From paint, I'm gonna use 4 colors: white, yellow, blue, and black. So only 4 colors, that's all you need. And a couple of brushes, of course. Now, the amount of brushes that you're going to use is completely up to you. I'm going to be using this 4 different brushes, but you can choose whichever you want. And as we go, we'll explain which brush will do the best job here. Generally, it's just good to have a variety. It's good to have a bigger brush for the background to cover those larger areas than a medium brush for the medium size areas, such as those islands here and a moon and a dabbing on a moon. And it's good to have a smaller brush for the trees. Now, I'm going to be using this particular one. So it's a really big brush. It doesn't have a number on it, but that's what I'm going to be using for my background because I find that I love working with big brushes for the background. It makes it faster. It makes it easier. Then I have this. So this brush is completely optional. I have this medium square brush in a horrible condition. So do you guys see? It has all the bristles gone out. It's just in a throwaway condition, which is perfect for our moon. So if you have a brush in that condition that is so bad that there's no point keeping it, it's just, do you see how puffy it is at this point? Just a really, really bad brush. That is perfect for your moon. If you don't have that, no problem. You can use any normal brush in a normal condition. But if you do, great, grab it. And I have just another regular medium square brush in a good condition. It's not specifically necessary for this painting. You could technically use the brush in a bad condition too. And I'm going to use that for the island, some outlines here. And I have a medium small square brush. So it's on a smaller side. It's still square, but do you see it has a really nice thickness? It's very fine because it's not new, but it's still well-kept brush. For this particular painting, thank you for asking, we usually use phthalo blue. For this one, if you have phthalo blue, great, use that one. It would be the best blue for you to use. But if you don't have phthalo blue, it doesn't matter because we're not really mixing it with anything much. There's only like one little area where we're going to be mixing. The rest we're not mixing blue with other colors. So, well, except for black and white, of course. So if you don't have phthalo blue, not a problem at all. And colors, I said just 4 primaries: yellow, white, blue, black. And also, guys, if this is your first time joining with us today, just so you know, because this is a question we get asked a lot, especially by people who haven't painted with us before, is if you can rewatch certain sections. Yes, you can. Even as we are live, if let's say you missed a segment, feel free to rewind the video and rewatch it. Even in a real time, you wouldn't be able to pause it, but you will be able to rewind the segments of the video and see that and rewatch certain sections again. So that's what we recommend. If you're perfectionist and you like working at a slower pace, and that's totally fine because all of us are different. All of us are different skill levels, and all of us like taking our time, right? So feel free to just rewind and rewatch. And once this video is recorded, it's going to be up for rewatch, so you can come back and watch it anytime and do it any day. And after it's fully recorded, you will actually be able to even pause the video. which I know a lot of people enjoy that option because you can fix the image in the middle of your screen, you know, have a cup of tea, look at it for a while, and really, really take your time on steps. So just giving you guys options, letting you know that you can do it now with me, or you can just hang out with me for now and do it later from the video that will be saved here, this exact video that I'm doing right now, but then you can pause it later on. So whatever works. All right. What else are we gonna need? Pretty much, that's pretty much all. I don't think we're gonna need anything else. Now, another brush optionally that you should probably have is small pointy brush. I'm personally not gonna be using it, but only because I have a really good square brush that can replace this brush completely. But yeah, I would still recommend that you have a good small brush because you may find easier to use a good small brush versus a small square brush for the trees. So just have it. If you have it, great, pull it out. If not, no problem. We'll work with what you have. All right, guys, and that's pretty much it. Now let's talk about our painting and how we're gonna do it. So we're gonna start by sketching. We're not gonna sketch everything. The only parts we're gonna sketch is the moon and a horizon line. So we're gonna position our horizon line. We're gonna sketch the moon. Once we have that, then we're gonna move to our moon. We're gonna color in our moon, and let me show it closer to you because my light makes it a little bit lighter. So it's hard to see the details, but you see there are some darker spots there. So that's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna color in our moon, and then we're gonna add those darker sections on our moon. Once we have that, we're gonna move to our background. And by the way, we're not going to reflection just yet, only the upper part. Then we're gonna move to our background, and we're gonna do some blue here. It's gonna be like a medium dark blue, then it's gonna be blue mixed with black, and then straight black in the end. So we're gonna try to make a smooth transition from this blue to black. Once we have that, we're gonna move to our bottom part. And here we're gonna start with a medium light blue, then bring it to a dark blue. So just a little gradient. And it can be brush strokey, it doesn't have to be super smooth here either. After that, we're gonna add this little island right here with not straight black, but more like a mixture of black and blue. And then we'll add these two big islands here. So we're gonna do them in straight black right away first. So all this is gonna be pure black. Once we have those islands, we're gonna start adding the trees. We'll add our trees, and once we have that, we will add the reflections. And then we'll finish up with some highlights, reflection of the moon, and a little highlights of gray to break up that black island here, the black land. So it's not pitch black, so it has the definition, so it has the shape. And then last thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna add just a touch of highlight in light blue here and splatter for our stars on this dark black and dark blue parts. So that is pretty much it. Yeah. So okay, let me switch my cameras. Phthalo blue is the cold blue, so it's greenish blue. It has a greener undertone. That's a phthalo blue for you. But doesn't matter. As I mentioned earlier, for this painting, if you don't have phthalo blue, not a big deal at all. So I'm gonna grab my canvas, I'm gonna grab my pencil, and I'm gonna start by adding my horizon line. So somewhere about to 1/3 from the bottom. I'll just add a line. Doesn't have to be perfect, just for us to know approximately where the horizon is gonna be. All right, and after that, we're gonna position our moon. So our moon is gonna be somewhere around here. If you have something that's rounded, you're welcome to just grab it, place it and outline it. For example, I don't have anything the right size, but I'll give you an example. If let's say this plate was a little smaller, I could have totally used it and positioned it like that and outlined it, but this one is a little bit too big for the moon. So if you have something maybe a touch smaller than that, would be absolutely perfect. Actually, let me see, maybe I do have something. I can see a little circular canvas here. So let's try that one. It seems to be a little smaller. Oh yeah, that's a good size. Do you see this is a smaller one? So I'm just going to use this one. So I'll position it approximately like that and just outline it. And again, if you don't have anything to outline, not a big deal. Feel free to freehand your moon. If it's not perfect, that's all right. In the end of the day, it's not about perfection, and most of this moon is going to be covered by our trees and our islands. So you're not going to see it as well in the end. So I wouldn't worry about the perfect shape for your moon. As long as you have it and as long as it's somewhat rounded, it's all great. All right, I'll give you guys a second to do that. Maybe you're looking for something to outline, something round. All right, now we're gonna move to coloring. So I'm gonna put my pencil aside and I'm gonna go to my brush. You can use any brush, whichever you think would be the best, the most appropriate in size out of what you have. Doesn't matter, we're just gonna color in the moon, so whatever you wanna color it in with. I'm going with just straight medium brush. And I'm gonna make light yellow. So I'm gonna take some white. I have my mixing palette actually right here that I'm gonna be mixing my colors on, because I know on this particular palette, it's very hard to see because it has so many colors mixed in already. So that's why I'm gonna be mixing my colors on a separate palette. So I'll put some white. I'll put some yellow. I would say don't do it very bright yellow. Try to stay on a lighter side. So barely yellow is a better color than bright yellow here. And we're just gonna color in our entire moon with it. And make sure you don't leave any space between your outline and the coloring. You can even go a little bit outside your outline because later on with blue, we can fix that. So notice I'm starting with this around, right? And then for the middle or bottom, you can even just color in the straight white. Doesn't all have to be yellowy. All right, so do you see it's light yellow here and then even lighter here? So because I just blended straight white. And another thing I'm gonna do right away before it dries, and for this one, use smaller brush. So something on a smaller side. You can use a medium small, you can use actual small. I'm gonna use medium small. So do you see it's pretty small, but not like a fine brush. And I'm gonna mix some blue here. So I'm gonna take some white on the side again. Then I'll take a little bit of blue, mix it in. That may have been a little too much. Yeah, that's a better color right here. And then with that color, I'll actually dab off my brush on a paper towel. And then I'll go right on top here, and I'll just lightly, with just a tiny, tiny touch of paint on my brush. Notice I specifically dabbed it off on a paper towel here. Yeah, so I don't have too much paint on my brush. And just along this edge, I'm gonna very lightly blend in some of that light blue. Then I'm going to put aside this medium small brush because there is nothing else for me to do with it here. And I'm going to move to that. Remember I told you I have this brush that's in a bad shape. This medium square brush that's in a pretty rough shape. So that's the one I'm going to be using next. And for my next color, I'm going to move to something that I'm going to add the darker spots on my moon with. So do you remember that light yellow spot that I had? I'm going to add just a touch more yellow to it to make it a little bit darker. And then I'm going to add the tiniest little smidge of black. Do you see? Tiny, tiny smidge. Very, very small. If you have too much black, you're going to need to remix the color. Very little. So let's try this and see how that looks. And I'm going to add a couple dabs here. And then while all that is still wet, I'll just take my finger. And you can either dab it or you can rub it, but I just want to smudge it a bit into this. And I'm going to add a couple spots like that. And you see they're all closer to this outline. I'm not really going too much in the middle. I will be gradually getting towards the middle, but again, I'm not starting right in the middle. So do you see very, very light moon texture is appearing there? And after I have this well blended light moon texture, then I'm going to move to actually more visible moon texture. And to the same color I just used, if you still have some, you're going to add another tiniest smidge of black to make it just a little darker. I think this may be a little too far, so I'll add a little bit of white and yellow again to lighten it up. Okay, let's try this. And again, notice I'm dabbing it off on a paper towel. And now I'm going to be very, very lightly just dry brush dabbing some of that on top of my moon to create some darker sections. But notice how everything is half tone, undertone. It's not crazy contrast. And the amount of paint that I have on my brush is next to nothing. See, next to nothing. That's exactly what you want. And I'll add some super close to the edge as well. All right. I'm happy with my moon. I don't want to be adding anything else. I like it. I think this is a good amount of um, color and darkness and a variety of, colors and shades in my moon. So I'm going to stop. And I'm going to give you guys some time to do this. When you have it, give me the thumbs up in chat. And once I see quite a few thumbs up going on, then we'll move to our next step. All right, camera, refocus. It will refocus. It does that sometimes, guys. All right, I see one ready. That's wonderful. We'll wait a little longer. All right. Looks like it is coming, which is nice. Okay, so now we can move to our background then. And you're gonna use bigger brush. So for me, I'm gonna use the biggest brush that I have, my large brush. It's my favorite brush for the backgrounds. So this is the brush I'm gonna be using here. And I'm gonna start by using, I would say about medium blue. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of this primary blue, straight blue from my tube. Do you see how dark it is? And now I'm gonna add a little bit of white to it. Maybe even it should be darker. So do you see? It got a little lighter in comparison to my primary blue. This is my primary blue. This is my medium blue. So it got a little bit lighter, but it's still on a darker side. Like it's not a very light blue. And with this blue, I'm going to start by adding a line right around until maybe, actually right around everywhere. And use generous amount of paint there. Don't use just like a little bit of paint. Use a good amount of paint because we need it to stay wet until we're ready to blend it to other colors. So you don't want it to dry too fast. And after that, I'm going to take a little bit more of this color again, and I'm going to continue bringing it right here. Now, once you have approximately this amount of blue, you're going to switch to our next color, which is going to be just dark blue. So straight dark blue. We're going to add it on and we're going to blend it. And then third color is going to be blue mixed with black. So I'm going to take this primary blue. I'll add a tiny smidge of black to it. So it's going to get dimmer and darker. And with this color, again, I'm going to overlap it and add my next layer. And of course, blend all that. And then last little chunk, I'm going to finish with straight black. All right. And here is our cup. So again, I'll give you guys some time to do this. And the reason why I did it all in a row, because you have to do this while it's wet. So it kind of has to be done right away. So again, I'll talk you through the steps here. So medium blue, blue mixed with a touch of white, then straight dark blue, then blue mixed with a black, then straight black. And all that with a blending in between. So let's say you add one color, then before you add next color, you need to blend it in between. So we add first color, right? Medium blue. Then we add straight blue, blend. Then blue mixed with black, blend. Then straight black, blend. And another little thing I want to do quickly while I wait for you guys is, you see I kind of lost this blue highlight on the moon. So I'm going to go back to my smaller brush and I want to add it back. I really liked it and I'm sad that it's gone. I want it. So we'll just lightly add it back. All right, I'll give you guys some time again. And whenever you have this stop, give me thumbs up and we're gonna move to our bottom part here. I'm gonna keep my camera slightly on an angle because if I put it like that, the glare kicks in, so it's harder to see the color. And this way it avoids the glare, so it's a little bit easier to see the color. All right, I see a couple thumbs up. That is good. We'll wait a couple more minutes. All right, I see lots of thumbs ups, which is wonderful. Okay, then we're gonna move to our bottom. And on our bottom, we're gonna start with even lighter blue. So I'm gonna start with my large brush again. And I'm gonna make, I would say medium light blue. So I'll take some white, some blue, mix them up. So something like this should work. It's a little bit lighter than what I had on the top, as you can see. Not dramatically lighter, but it is a little bit lighter. So then I will add that one. And then I will go with straight blue, not mixed with anything. I'll color my bottom with a straight blue. And then I'll have the mid in the middle and blend. All right, and that's our bottom. And notice I'm not even covering the entire thing here. I mean, it wouldn't be a mistake if you do it all the way, totally fine, but also it's not very necessary because you're gonna cover it all with the island. So this is really enough. All right, and again, whenever you guys have it, give me thumbs up, and we're gonna move to our next section. But no rush. If you need a bit more time, that's okay. All right, I see one ready. That's good. Good start. All right, I see quite a few thumbs up. So that's a good sign, which means we can probably move to our islands. And for our islands, I'm going to be using my just regular medium brush. And I'm going to put my canvas flat because I want you guys to see the size and proportions, which is better viewed when flat. So don't mind the glare. And I'm going to take straight black paint. All right. And now I'm going to start somewhere, I would say around, maybe around here. And I'm going to bring my island down, 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 down until around here. And as you notice, it covers a lot of your moon, so that's perfectly normal. If you would prefer to see a bit more of your moon, you can move it a little lower, or you can make it a little just not as high, not as tall. And then from here, I'll bring it here. And then I'm going to add one more. And all that I'm going to color in with black. So here it is. And again, I'll give you guys a couple minutes. When you have it, give me thumbs up, and then we'll move to our next step. No rush. Already good. Let's see. All right, I see lots of thumbs up. That's wonderful, guys. Now, you know what? Let's add our island right here. So you can use any medium-ish brush. And we're going to use blue mixed with black. So just primary blue or whichever blue you have, mixed with a tiny touch of black so it doesn't look pure black, but it's definitely on a darker side. And with this color, I'm going to go right here. We'll add this line back. And then I'll add a little island right there. In a distance. All right, and here it is. Awesome. I already see a couple thumbs ups. That's wonderful, guys. All right, lots of thumbs ups. Awesome, 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 awesome. Now I kind of want to let this dry for a little bit longer. And as that's drying, we can add a little bit of this light shade on the bottom. So I'm going to put it flat again, so don't mind the glare. And we're going to go back to our light yellow. So do you remember that light yellow that we used originally? Somewhere right here. That's exactly what we're going to use now. So I'm going to take some, I don't know, whichever brush you want to use. I would say medium small for me. I'll put some white, a little bit of yellow, mix up a really nice light yellow. And with this color, and you guys are welcome to use small brush for this if you prefer. It doesn't have to be specifically medium or medium small. But because my brushes, I remember I told you, I'm going to be using the square brush instead of small because the top edge can give you really nice fine lines. So that's exactly what I'll be doing. Now imagine if this moon ends somewhere here and then there's a reflection that begins somewhere here, right? at horizon line. This is what we're going to start adding. We're going to start flicking in the reflection of the moon. And I do it from the left to the right. Sorry, from the right to the left. And make sure it goes somewhat rounded. All right, that's good for me for now. And then we're gonna move to our trees. So trees are a little bit tricky. So let me put this one aside for now. And I'm gonna show you trees on the one that I came prepared with. So on the finished version. Here are our trees. So notice how some of those trees are taller. Some of those trees are shorter. So we really need to have a nice variety going here. I'll get them closer for you. You see, it's all about having this nice variety of trees. Some taller, some shorter. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start by positioning my tree trunks for all my trees. I'm going to start with positioning my taller ones, and then I'm going to fill in between spaces with shorter ones. And before I do any of that, I'm actually going to show you how to do those trees. And I'm going to show you on my palette here. So let's take a little corner of my palette for the purposes of showing the trees. And we're going to start every tree with a tree trunk. And I would suggest, guys, before you go on your canvas, maybe practice, maybe try doing a couple of trees on a separate piece of paper, or even on a back side of your canvas, or on your palette, on something. So you're going to start by putting tree trunk. So let's say this is our hill, right? Tree trunk's always going to go from the bottom up. See, nice little flick. And you can use either a small brush for that or the top edge of a medium brush like I'm using, but this is only works if you have really nice, good square brush in a really good shape. Because if you have square brush like that one, the fluffy one, you will never get that fine line. So it might be easier to use small one. So whichever you prefer. Now, notice the shape of the trees, right? All our trees, they're different. They're messy, but they all somewhat shaped like a triangles. They have a really pointy tip, and then they gradually get wider, right? The tree itself. Not every single branch is going to get wider, but the tree does have this shape overall. So that's what we're going to aim for. We're going to aim for messy and imperfect, but we're going to aim for pointy tip and gradually wider. So I'm going to start by using, because I'm going to use only one brush, medium square. Actually, this is medium small square. I'm going to start by using corner of my brush for the small ones. So I'm going to start by just dabbing the top of my tree. with the really small dabs on the tip, and then, you know, getting a little wider, wider, wider. And then when I got to the width of the brush, then I'm going to start, instead of using the corner, I'm going to start using the whole top edge to make longer lines. So as soon as I got to the width of my brush, I'm going to start using the top. And you can add some right in the middle, right? But also you can start adding them towards the edges, and you can make them point down or point up or mix and match. And with those dabs, using the top edge of our brush, or at least for me, using the top edge of my brush, I'm going to continue going down until I have my tree. So that's how those trees are done on top. Now I want to give you a different option, because this is best done with a medium or small square brush. Now let's say you don't have square brush. Maybe the only brush you have is a pointy brush, and that's okay. I want to give you guys a couple more options on how you can do this instead of dabbing. So let's put a tree trunk. Another option would be you can do flicks from the inside out. So you start with the really small ones, and then as you go down, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And this can be done with any brush, pointy brush, square brush, whichever brush. And I went going up with my flicks, but you can do going down with your flicks too. It doesn't matter, up or down. I'm going to show you another way. The simplest way to do it is using small pointy brush. So again, you can start with a tree trunk, and then you just do horizontal brush strokes. Small ones on top, and then gradually getting bigger and bigger and bigger as you go down. And here you go. That's an option too. So it's up to you. I'm going to be going with this because that's true to original. This is a modification that still looks quite complicated and really nice. Just for a different brush, it's more appropriate and it's easier to do with a pointy brush. And this one is a modification that is just the easiest out of 3. So it's completely up to you guys, whichever you prefer to do. But I'm going to be doing the first one. So I'm going to put this aside. And I'm going to grab the other painting. I'm going to grab the painting that we're about to use for painting purposes. And we're going to start by adding tree trunks. And again, take a good look here. Notice how all of them are different size, right? So we're going to start with the longest ones, with the tallest ones. And then we're going to move to the shorter ones. Let's put this aside. And let's grab our painting. So here I'm going to start by adding tree trunks. Again, I'll be using the top edge of my medium square brush. If you prefer to use your small one, even better. And I'm going to start with the fairly taller trees. So I'll add one somewhere here, one to the edge, then one maybe somewhere right here. All right, so those are my taller trees. And now in between them, I'm going to position smaller ones. And again, you want a variety of height. And you don't have to evenly space them either, by the way. If they're spaced uneven, that's okay. All right, so here are all my tree trunks. And after you have all your tree trunks, you're gonna start turning all of them into the trees. So let's start with something visible. Always starting from the top, as small and fine as you can, and then make your way down. Thanks, Tammy. Yeah, trees, they do take a bit of practice. I wouldn't even say they take a lot of practice. But the good news is the more you practice them, the better you will get at the trees. Trees are always tricky. So that's why I always suggest trying first on a separate piece of paper, maybe even a couple times, maybe even a couple different techniques to see and figure out which one works best for you personally. All right, awesome. I'm glad you guys are almost done. That's perfect. And yeah, toothpick, that's a great idea. Whatever works. It's all about finding what works best for you. It's funny. Oak tree is good too. All right, so here are my trees. Again, I'll give you guys a couple minutes. When you have it, give me thumbs up. And then we're gonna move to our next step. Fir trees are good too, so good job. Fir trees works. That's funny. You guys are funny. I like you. Okay. I see lots of thumbs up, which is good news, which means we can move to our reflection. So that's what we're going to do next. And I'm going to use the same medium small brush, but any brush will work. Small will work, medium will work as well. And we're going to start adding a couple brush strokes in black for the reflection. Make sure they're fine. Or try to get them fine, at least around here. And then I'll add a couple going down as well, but very lightly. So those I'm not going to use as much black. I'm going to use more of a dry brush technique for a couple of those that go down. Deborah, my moon has the same things. It's just because my camera is autofocusing on contrast. So the more contrast I add, the less you can see the details. That's exactly why we started with moon. It looks exactly like we did it when we just started, but it just, yeah, because, do you see? They're there. Because of my camera autofocus, it just, yeah, sometimes washes off some details and it's hard to see. But good thing we're past doing moon, so we already should have that, and just don't touch it. And another little thing we're going to do here after we have those shadows here, is we're going to add a bit of reflection of the trees. So we're not going to add reflection for every single tree. I would say just choose a couple, and completely up to you which ones you're going to choose. Whichever you choose, that's the one you're going to add. So for me, let's see which ones I want to add. Let's say this one, maybe it's a taller tree. So again, I'll put a tree trunk, right? Maybe this one, this one, this one, this one. Just a couple, right? And I'll just do this. Maybe a couple more in between. They don't have to precisely match what's going on top. As long as it looks full, it's all good. All right, and after that, we can move to our gray. So we'll add gray to our islands. Let me show you again on this painting. So do you see how we have this gray here? That's what we're gonna do. And I would say you can use, I would say maybe medium to medium dark gray is best. I wouldn't go too light here, but up to you. If you want a bit more contrast, you're welcome to go lighter. That's okay. Just probably wouldn't be my personal preference. So I'm gonna take some black, some white, mix them up. Let's see what this color looks like. And I'm gonna start with this island, the one that we completely lost. And that's normal. Oh yeah, maybe a little darker than that. Yeah, so I'm gonna add on very lightly. So the highest part can be the most contrast part. And then as you go down, either use less paint or make it darker. Either will work. Yeah, just a touch right at the bottom part. And it looks quite contrast right now, but I know my paint, when it's gonna dry, it's gonna be a little dimmer. So this gray is actually gonna dry a shade darker, so it's not gonna be as light when it dries. And then with the same gray, which as you can see, it's like a medium dark gray, I'm gonna go on top and I'm gonna start by just adding a couple little rocks or hills, whatever those are, closer to the top, very lightly. Notice I'm using just a tiny touch of paint. I'm dry brushing this on. And as I go down, I'm going to be using less and less paint because I'm running out of paint on my brush. So my brush strokes get more and more transparent. And then I'll add a little bit right here, closer to the bottom, but not at very bottom. So notice I'm still leaving some straight black on the bottom. Pretty much like that. And then I will make slightly lighter gray, just a tiny touch lighter, not a lot lighter. And I'll highlight just a couple spots. And good thing about this is that if you've gone too far with black at any point, not black, gray. If you've gone too far with gray anywhere, you can just take black again and cover it up. Wherever you feel like it's too much, take your black, brush it on, and you will see it will fix that for you. So that's a cool thing of working over black. It's really easy to fix anything. All right, I am happy with this. Very, very happy. And the last thing I want to do is I'm going to add a little bit of lighter blue here, and I'm going to splatter the top. So for this, you can use large brush, medium large, medium small, anything around there is good. In my case, just standard medium will work the best. So I'm going to start by taking some white. Then I'll take just a little bit of blue, mix it up, and you see, make it fairly light blue. This is actually a little too light. Let's darken it up a little. Yeah, this is good. And I'm going to add just a touch of it here. Dry brushing some of that lighter blue very lightly from the edge. So from the outside in. And then I'm going to add splatter to my upper part. So there are many ways you can do splatter, but make sure You water down your paint. That's important because it's not going to splatter if your paint is too thick. And make sure you take decent amount of paint on your brush. And I'm going to hold, so how I'm going to splatter is I'm going to hold my clean brush. This is my clean brush in one hand, and this is a brush filled with paint. And I'm going to do this. You see, it creates a beautiful splatter. And I'm only going to add it on a darker part. So I'm not adding it on like a lighter blues. Just there. And if some of it accidentally gets on your black, you can just cover it up. You can either take black and cover it up, or you can, while it's still wet, just, get rid of it. Oh yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad your trees turned out. Trees are very tricky. And guys, after you have that, the last thing that you just need is to sign it. So pick a good spot, wherever that may be, and put your signature. And another optional thing that you could do is you could take any appropriate brush and you can color your edges. Because do you see my edges right now are kind of messy and they don't look good. So I can just take black and color them in. And it's going to make it more, it's going to give your painting more of a finished look, especially if you're planning to hang your painting. This is a really good thing to do. Yeah, and do all the edges with black. And do you see how big of a difference it makes? Because it makes it look like your image is wrapped around the edge of your canvas. You see, just a really nice look. Clean and sharp. And of course, sign it. Sign it, sign it, sign it. Oh, just to respond to you, if you can't do the splatter, you can just dot it. You can grab your small brush and either the painting end of a small brush, so the actual painting end, or the other side. If you have the nice rounded end of your small brush, you can just dip it in white and or light blue and dot it instead. That will work too if the splatter is not your thing. Tammy, am I and Lisa related? No, we are not relatives. You're very welcome, guys. And if you want to share your results with us, please do. We love seeing your results. You can post them on our Facebook on an event page created for this event, or you can post it anywhere on our Facebook. I'll actually give you a link so you don't have to go through internet and trying to find it, because I know that can be quite a task. So I'll just give you a straight link to where you can post it. All right, here it is. That's a link to Facebook. You can post your painting there. Also, we have a lot more events coming up. You can see all the upcoming live events on our YouTube. If you just go to our YouTube page, you will see on the bottom it says upcoming live events, and you can see all the upcoming live events that we have. And we're always adding more. So yeah, feel free to check that out. And if you guys had fun and you want to say thank you by tipping me, you don't have to. It's not an obligation. I'm happy to do this. But if that's your way of saying thank you, you can do that as well. I will never say no to that. And you can do that through a PayPal link. I'm going to send you a PayPal link in comments here. All right. That is in there as well. Now, do you guys have any questions? Yay, I'm glad you enjoyed it. So glad you enjoyed it. I really love this painting too. I think it's really beautiful. So the brand of paint, let me show you the paint that I'm using. We usually use this Start paint. It's not available everywhere. This is what it looks like. It's a Start academic acrylic. It's only available in Currys in Canada. It's exclusive. This brand is exclusive to Currys in Canada. So if you are in Canada, you can order from them and they'll deliver. I'm not sure if they deliver everywhere, but they do deliver. And also, another paint that we use sometimes when this paint is unavailable is Artist Loft. I'll show you guys. It's Artist Loft. And they sell the smaller bottles as well. You don't have to buy those big jars. Artist Loft, the only thing I would say, they have different ones. Some of them are more transparent, some less. When you go to our store, ask for non-transparent Artist Loft and water it down. Our paint that we use is a little more, it's a little more liquid. Artist Loft is a little bit on a thicker side. So every time when you paint, you're gonna need to water it down slightly. It does have a really good vibrant pigment, so that's a good thing about it. What brushes? Any kind of brushes. We don't have a brand of preference. As you can see, my brushes are mix match of all kinds of things. As long as you buy synthetic brushes, that's what we recommend for acrylic, is synthetic brushes, because they will last you longer and they're really easy to work with. Natural brushes, A, will die on you really fast if you use acrylic, and B, they're harder to work with because they're softer. So buy synthetic brushes, but shape and size is preference. It's good to have variety. And again, we don't have a brand that we would recommend because we buy anything from dollar store to like extremely expensive. And I can't tell you there is a big difference in them. As long as you take care of your brushes well and wash them off with soap after every time you paint, they will last you. And of course, synthetic brushes versus natural brushes for acrylic specifically. Because again, synthetic brushes will last you much longer than natural brushes and they're cheaper. No, we did not use the red color, but if you wanted to, you could adjust it and use the red color. So instead of doing just blues, you could incorporate purples. In that way, you will be using the red color, but it is optional, of course. All right, guys, if you don't have any more questions, I'm going to let you finish using now recorded video if you needed to. And again, you will be able to pause it. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again. Bye, everyone.